Alright, what's up, yins guys? Time for another video where I do the talk about the real life Yu-Gi-Oh games people play. A disclaimer once again, this is not about the card game Yu-Gi-Oh. If you think that, pass this by. Or if you're a little bit curious and want to be amused or whatever, keep watching, but just to make it clear. This card is a rather fun card to actually talk about. A variation like I read about this book, if you read about in this book, which I'm going to do this book again specifically later. And in my head, I almost got the theme song from a popular TV show that used to go, man, manly, manly, man. And this is kind of the opposite trade of, later on I'll talk about the overly feminist simp side of the side of that there spectrum, but it deals within this book. It talks about the Macho Man, which the meaning in this book, maybe I'll just read this passage to you a little bit. I don't know. I'm not disagreeing with it. I'm agreeing with it. But this is one of the classic topics that I say in this book should be rewritten and then expanded upon. The author could expand upon it. The Mr. Macho Man, but this one is the one that kind of people that used to work with in passing. The white guys that were like this, I deal with that mostly, but whether they're black or white, if you're black watching this, you might have a white guy or somebody the same race as you black that does this, or vice versa. If you're white, another white guy. But I'm dealing with the white guy because of particular types that I used to work next to make fun of. But if not to be at all racial in this, but white guy got his particular way about it. Or say, for example, you get the black gentleman that you laugh and joke with all the time in the workplace and always helpful to get along with, but then there can be nothing against their race, the condescending, manly, deeper voiced dickhead. But I'm talking about the white guy because this particular one, you can do Adult Swim skits about this. But I'll talk more about the particular type, the white guy that does this first. Right now, I'm going to talk about the white guy to talk about for once. So if you ever listen to Henry Rollins' talks or videos, these are the kind of guys that you worked next to that were dickheads, condescending dickheads. The kinds that Henry Rollins actually once quoted about a guy with a beer belly and an attitude, asking him who the hell he thinks he is and being a dick, kind of ones like and when I first heard Henry Rollins say that shit, I was laughing my ass off. And the kind of dudes that you tell are taking all kind of testosterone, but they're fat and they got a beer belly, and the kind of ones in the work that are slow and all kind of different ways, and they got to drink all this beer to show how manly they are, and at the same time, it's the reason why the next day at work they don't go to sleep on time and or whatever, and they're always, and they got to act more manly the way they do the job. Oh, and if you're the one that does something too slow and let me say this again, you're the one that does something too easily and bam bam and you're done, you do something too well, they have some manly way to say you're slow down, you're making them look bad, or if you get in an argument with these people, a slight nonchalant, not even a loud argument, and you just tell them off or say go fuck yourselves, they when they're being some kind of condescending on you, they'll say they always have to have the deeper voice than it really is, and you can tell, get off the drugs, and they'll pull that card out. And in some cases, like in the author of this book said, in the Macho Man, some of them even, whether they actually have a gun or they'll make reference to their gun, you get a slight disagreement with them. You know what I mean? Both the white and the black versions of this will have a version of that bullshit too. And And these are the kind of guys, though, too, that they're jealous of you. You know, they're actually all slow. They have to drink all this beer and smoke these cigarettes in their deep voice and beer belly. And you can tell by their features they're swallowing a bunch of testosterone, but they're still, unlike Mr. Athletic Muscle Testosterone or steroid guy, drink a lot of beer and everything and smoke and are slow. And they're usually a beer belly. They have sometimes there's a mustache that they're trying to be this kind of, I can never grow a bushy mustache like that, but put this snippet in too, because this is some of the shit that you used to poke fun of, along with, which you can also put in an Adult Swim comedy skit. Some of the most important part, the Mr. Manly Man always, not just the deep voice, always had to do at all times announce his manly presence with always some kind of loud cough or hawker, which in the case that maybe if they're doing it all the time, they should go to a damn doctor or something, but I think it announces their presence or something. Which, it's life. Sometimes you have a little, you can't judge, maybe there's something going on, but there's a point, maybe they should either go to a fucking doctor or they're just doing that. You know, you notice that they do that when there's always people around, unlike the hypochondriac who wants to, which is the opposite trait. When there's people around, act sick. The manly man, it's always the hawker or cough that never goes away. Oh, and there's a manly sneeze. They can't just sneeze. You know, a sneeze is just achoo. You know, no big deal. You get the one that was in some workplace that you have playing in your head that has to do, they gotta be real manly when you sneeze. Like, try to do a or when they sneeze. And then you want to make fun of them and say, oh, I can sneeze more manly than that. Achoo. Or the Tarzan, or maybe do some kind of Tarzan sneeze. Achoo. You know. See, that's one thing about having a ponytail like this. You can make fun of them like cartoonish, even though you may think I'm stupid. Get a fake mustache. Get off the drugs. You know, when you win an argument with them, and then tell them somebody to fuck off. It's good. Always get off the drugs or something, all that. Or that one time in a workplace one time, you know, I'm just sidestep and move out of their way in a slightly crowded lunchroom, and just because you were able to step right out the side, just because you were able to sidestep them, you know, they're the one always beer belly, that acted, you know, the manly. Overly deeper voice and the walking more of the elbows, even though you have a pot belly, you know, and the manly walk to disguise how actually slow they are, you know, from drinking too much beer and the pot belly. You sidestep them right, you know, casually, like everybody else would do, and like, oh, that's some kind of freakish ability. And I had ones actually lived, I shit you not, say, oh, what are you on drugs or something? Well, oh, me really, because I'm able to sidestep you real well, and then I can actually do something quicker than you at a job. Maybe because I've done it before in other job assignments or something, and then the one guy was like, oh, what are you on drugs or something? What are you on drugs or something? But yeah, like that. Yeah, Mr. And anything you say to them is wrong or whatever, just because they say it in the deep voice, everything that comes out of their mouth is true and you're always wrong. Everything about you is always wrong. If they say it with their beer belly in a manly deep voice, and then you got this is the extreme opposite trait of the annoyingly feminine types that are always oppressed. Don't get me wrong, they have their life, you have yours. You're not meaning to attack them like everybody else does, but yet they don't like you either because your tolerance is never good enough. That's a whole totally different thing, you know what I mean? But extreme opposite of that, and then to get to that, and they're also the opposite trait of the nonchalant, you know, real skinny guy in the office, real skinny arms, girl arms, like he's avoiding muscle development, period. and always maybe you'll wear some kind of pink polo shirt that fits just right, that flatters the skinny girly arms. I'm avoiding muscle development, and I don't do none of that macho shit. And actually, I'm not gay, but I'm married. But my wife has me wrapped totally around my finger and probably slaps me and beats me up and and all that shit. I mean, you can go on and on about that. But anyway, the point is, you may have relatives like that or coworkers like that. Do a cartoonish impression of it's the white guy that does that, and then occasionally, as opposed to the black gentleman that you went to school with and may have been a friend of yours, that you and them got in trouble with the boss together for some shit you were talking and joking, as opposed to the black gentleman that's a friend of yours. You got the other shit starter macho dude that's the opposite race as you, that everything you do, think, way you walk, talk, eat shit is always wrong, and they say in a deep voice, and they have that chip. But before I end this video, I'll do a separate readings of this all over again, but this BS Syndrome book was the Macho Man. Okay, he is the rough, tough hombre, loud, booming voice, masks a latent homosexuality or cowardice. He treats women insultingly, discourteously, condescendingly. He bullies men, women, and children, anyone he thinks is weaker than himself. But, like I said, the author is saying this in the book, but occasionally this kind of person will be the fake gentleman. When the author says this in the book, you'll have the fake gentleman. They'll talk the deep voice and pretend they're God's gift to women, right? But it may look like it contradicts what I said, but in matter of fact, these people were known to pretend to be gentlemen, or maybe pretend to be a little simpy or whatever, because they think they're getting laid, but they're opposite person, and they're condescendingly to women or whatever. But anyway, so there's a two-faced trait to this, you know what I mean? The rough, tough hombre, loud, booming voice, masks a latent homosexuality or cowardice, treats women insultingly, discourteously, bullies men, women, and children, anyone he thinks is weaker than himself, feels he has to be athletically outperform our competition. But, like I said in my video too, unlike what they're saying here, you get the one with the beer belly and the attitude that'll what a manly voice say you're on drugs because maybe you appear to be in a workplace more athletic than them. So I was talking about the ones like that, not to contradict in this book, but this author was talking about, that always have to look stronger, talk more fiercely, and never admit to a sentiment of weakness. A really sick macho man, which will actually even carry a gun, which he'll never dare you to use. He is a frightened little child, emotional growth that's been stunted a long time ago. And when the author of this book talks about the macho man that will even carry a gun or whatever too, you don't want to stereotype people, but the white guy, beer belly, like I said too, where you win an argument, they'll make references to their gun, an AR-15 or whatever that's not even appropriate, loud so you can hear it. Or if the macho man is black, I says not to be racist as opposed to maybe the better black guy you work with. Or if you're black, you deal with a guy that's also black. They have their thing where they lose an argument or if you're not intimidated by them psychologically, they'll make some kind of reference so you can brag about their gun. Not against anybody racially either way. I am stereotyping both in a good way, but I also have a disclaimer, but you got the, various kinds that are alike, you know what I mean? I believe in the I believe in whether you're black or white, the right to bear arms and the right to have a gun to target shoot. But I'm talking about also the manly macho asshole that can't win an argument or intimidate you, that nothing against the right to bear arms, but they have to make reference to their gun out loud when you outsmart them or snub them or not intimidate. You snub their psychological attempts at intimidation. You know what I'm saying? That and in some cases you may have to kind of get away from the aggressor, avoid certain people just in case somewhere that you get the occasional asshole that'll land himself in prison for shooting somebody or whatever, you know what I mean? But because there can be a narcissistic element. A lot of times you get them ones that ain't gonna do shit, but you know.